Welcome to the Healing Heart Podcast, where all healing is always a matter of the heart. I'm your host, Donna Campbell, also known as the Mind Whisperer, interviewing guest experts on all matters of healing. Hi, everybody, and welcome back here to the Healing Heart Podcast. I'm your host, Donna Campbell, and my guest today is truly exceptional. Abigail Luvisi is an Impostor Syndrome Mindset mentor all the way out of Arizona. Now, let me say that again, an Impostor Syndrome Mindset mentor. She works with women, both in life and their business, on giving them the formula to overcome the things that are keeping us stuck, giving you tools that you need to know your own worth and how to move forward in authentically living your truth, pursuing all of the dreams and joy that you desire in your life. And welcome here to the Healing Heart Podcast, Abigail.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Yes, and I want to know a little bit more about your background, because we don't just wake up going, oh, I'm going to be an imposter syndrome mindset mentor. It just doesn't happen. So when you were little, for example, what did you really want to be when you grew up? And what happened that this is what you do now?
Oh my gosh. I mean, I did not think I was going to be doing this at all. I mean, I remember my first thing that I wanted to be when I was very, very little was a veterinarian. And then when I was in high school, I wanted to be a broadcast journalist and a flight attendant because I love to travel and I love to be on camera, obviously. No, I'm just kidding. I did not think I'd be doing this, but I have a lot of shame. So that's how I got into this is, our greatest strengths are our greatest weaknesses. And I have a lot of shame in my background. And so I really love people and helping women. And I've always had that desire. I've been told many times that my biggest gift is my presence. And growing up in a very abusive, narcissistic background, I definitely didn't think that my gift was my presence at all. It was the opposite. And so I think, there were these nuggets that kept happening throughout my life. And that's kind of how I got here.
Right. Absolutely. So share with us here a little bit. I know our topic today, we're going to be talking about shame shadows and what that's all about, and having shame in the background, how to transform that energy and really live a life on purpose, learning to pursue those dreams and your joy and all the things that you desire. But for you, I mean, because like for myself, growing up, I had a certain mindset of what I was going to do, and now I'm called something totally different. Share with us a little bit about your journey of what happened for you when you recognized that you had this gift and helping people unstick themselves to really pursue their life or their dreams.
Well, I picked, imposter syndrome because I have a lot of that with that shame. And I think, a lot of messages that I hear a lot of the time is, like I'm not good enough, or somebody has more qualifications than I do, which lead to that. And, those are all centered back to our core beliefs about ourselves, which really go back again further to when we're growing up. And so because it's not the trauma that happened to us, it's the beliefs about ourselves that happen. And so we started these messages of I'm not good enough, or I can't trust myself, or I can't trust others, or I'm really powerless to do anything. And now consciously or subconsciously, we're looking for evidence to believe those things. So that's what I did about myself. I really felt like I wasn't good enough and that I couldn't compare and everybody was better than me. And I really just didn't have gifts. So when I started to recognize where I got those beliefs, because as kids, we're so egocentric. So when a parent or a teacher tells us we can't do something, we don't go, oh, you got a lot of shit. We go, oh, something's wrong with me. Or I'm broken, or I'm defective, or you're right, I'm just never going to be able to do it. And so there was a point where I was like, oh, there's something here for me. I really relate with that. And I kind of always, again, being in that place of feeling like I could always do better, right? So that all or nothing thinking. And so like, again, that piece of where it's my weakness and my strength, that I always wanted to better myself. I always wanted to look for the brighter side. I always felt like there was more, but I couldn't get to it. And so many times that's what we do. We hit a wall over and over again. We just don't know where to look, because what I say to my clients all the time is, you don't know what you don't know.
Right. Right.
And I didn't know. And so many of us, that's where we get into that hopelessness, powerless feeling of those core beliefs of there's just really nothing I can do, because sometimes you just don't know. You don't know where to look. You don't know where to turn. You don't know where to go and how to change it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I answered your question, but it was good.
I love it. I love it. So for you, because you obviously had to go through the process first, you were probably your own first client, unconditioning the mind, the beliefs, the things that we believe about the truths that other people had. Because what a person says is really about them, not about you.
Oh, yeah.
And when you start believing those truths, even though because it's projected at you, yes, I can see exactly how we can go into that imposter syndrome, having the shame, feeling guilt, all of those other energies. So what are some of the tips that you have that you've learned from your own experience to get out of what other people believe?
Well, first, I don't feel something I've noticed with my clients is most people don't know the difference between guilt and shame.
Yeah.
And so that's a first starting point. Is guilt is I made a mistake, and shame is I am the mistake. So when we're able to see that, we can start to easily recognize these patterns that are going on in our head.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you can see it in kids, right? They bump something or they spill something, and how they react clearly shows if they're in shame or not. Oh, they crouch down, or are they afraid that a parent is going to yell at them? Oh, that's because something's wrong with me. Or did they go, hey, I bumped some water, and the parent comes up and says, oh, let me help you. You made a mistake.
Mm-hmm.
That's really what it is. That's the difference, is when we're not told like, oh, it's just a mistake, we again think it's us. So really just recognizing the difference between guilt and shame, I would say, is first and foremost the biggest thing that I didn't recognize, because again, all of my message were, it has to be me. I'm broken.
Right. And right. And in reality, we're not. We're whole, we're complete just the way we are. So what to you is a shame shadow?
So there's 6 different shame shadows, and they are the judge, the royal, the rebel, the martyr, the impotent one, and the politician. So it's the reason we do this, and it's all from my mentor too. He's amazing. Always like to plug him, because this is where I learned all of my amazing things from Troy Love, in his Finding Peace model, is that they're not us. The shame isn't us. Okay. Mm-hmm. So when we're able to see that shame are these messages, we can put them on the outside of us and see that, oh, they're in the room, right? They're talking to us, but it's not really connected to us. So when I can see that, I can go, okay, I see you. Thank you for trying to protect me, but I don't need you anymore. Mm-hmm. So the judge says, I'm not enough. Okay, the judge is usually like, the first one to easily see, constantly showing up. He holds hands with a lot of the other ones. So it demands perfection from you, okay? That's the judge saying like, you're not enough, right? Like you can picture it, like, you need to be perfect, do better. You need to be better. The politician is a mask. So is the mom that feels like they need to bring cupcakes and cookies, and they need to have the perfect face, have the hair on, right? Or even like, for example, if I was showing up here, I need to look perfect, say the perfect thing. I need you to accept me. So you can hear that imposter syndrome, right? So the judge and the politician are usually holding hands with imposter syndrome, because I need to look perfect. I can earn points from you to like me. The impotent one is all or nothing language, very black and white thinking. It's kind of like Eeyore. If you could listen to Eeyore, like, why bother? This is always how it's going to be. Nothing's ever going to change. Okay. The royal is deserving. It lifts you up above others. So it's judgmental, and it's really just trying to uplift you, right? When we're judging others. So it's putting you on a pedestal. I deserved that. I deserve that chair. How dare that guy cut me off? That was my spot, right? So the rebel is like, F you. I don't care who I hurt in the process. I don't care what anybody says. I'm going to do what I want. So addicts are usually like holding hands with the royal and rebel, right? You can hear like, I'm better, and also you give me what I want. Okay. And then the martyr, most of us know what a martyr is, right? Very sacrifice myself for the greater good. So can become very passive aggressive. I need to do this to make other people happy because my worth is in other people. Okay. So when we're able to start recognizing these different shadows that are coming up, I can speak to them and see them and start to separate them from myself, my truth.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I have more questions here, but we're going to take that quick sponsor break and we'll be right back here with Abigail. I am so totally fascinated by this topic. So hold on, you guys.
Get what you always wanted. Abundant life is possible. Transform your lifestyle in just weeks with the most innovative system developed for heart-centered business professionals who seek change today. You are one step away from creating infinite prosperity, happiness, and love. Grab your bonus link now that's in the show notes.
All right, welcome back here to the Healing Heart podcast. And my guest today is Abigail. And we have been talking about shame shadows. She just got done sharing the 6 different major shame shadows. So what I really want to know, Abigail, is how do you help other people identify which shame shadow is dominant in their life? And then what do you do? What's a tip that you use to help them transform that?
Well, I mean, that's a big question, and it's easier said than done. I mean, you have to take baby steps. And, you know, as much as I would like to be like the Matrix and just like plug in all of my information to you and download it, we have to start from the basics. And so I really just say this for the people who are really just starting out. My first tip would be, what I do with my clients is I check in with them emotionally, physically, spiritually, and relationally. And you really just want to start there with yourself. Start noticing how you're feeling in a moment. Because a lot of us just, you know, we'll be here and it's like, oh, how are you? And you'll say like, oh, it's been a good day, or it's been a hard week, or the year just, you know, has been great or sucks. And it's like so broad. And most of us can't even connect with the here and now. Right? So just being able to center ourselves and recognize what's going on with us and coming back to our body now. Because I could say, oh, yeah, like you'll hear these messages and you'll see them. And I'm sure even hearing the shame shadows, you can connect with them. But really, until we can start connecting with ourselves, it's going to be really hard for me to just say, hey, start doing this, this, and this, because we have to start at the basics.
Right. Right. And I'm going to agree with you 100% there. We are so not in touch with how we feel, and our emotions drive everything, our thoughts, our beliefs, how we react, how we respond. And when you identify how you truly feel about things, then you can take those next natural steps to really start moving forward to unwind all of those conditioned patterns that we've been taught over the years that invoke those shame shadows. Absolutely. Absolutely there. So when you work with your clients and the different people, what typical results do you see with them?
Oh my gosh. Well, I mean, people who, again, when you don't know what you don't know, when you first start, I mean, even this morning, I just got off a client call right before jumping on this podcast. And she was just saying like that she had never had language to anything, that she just didn't even know that people could feel this way. or
Mhm.
relate to her. And that's exactly how I felt too, starting my journey. It was like this whole new world that people knew how I could relate to me on how I was feeling. Like
Mhm.
what? There was words to it. And
Mhm.
that there was something that I could do, that there was hope, right? Because again, when we're in that impotent one, or in that shame of, or those core beliefs of just like, nothing's going to change. This is hopeless. There's nothing I can do. Ugh, that's so debilitating.
Mhm.
So with my clients seeing that, I mean, it changes everything. Anxiety completely reduces significantly with my clients, because they're able to have connections with what's going on. It's tangible. They're getting tools to literally change what is happening.
Mhm. So where there's like 6 shame shadows, when a client goes through that transformation, are there like 6 antidotes on the other side?
Um, so that's more going into like your attachment wounds.
Uh-huh.
So there are antidotes to when we're able to recognize our attachment wounds. But again, like when we notice shame, we're all going to need different things. So there are 8 core human needs. So there's acceptance, significance, safety and security, novelty and pleasure, growth and contribution, assurance, attention and presence, and autonomy.
Mhm.
So we can start recognizing what we're needing for our individual self as things come up. So for me, again, growing up in a very narcissistic home into a narcissistic marriage where I could not trust myself and then also trust others, I've had to really work on my community.
Mhm.
For me, when I am questioning myself and don't know if I can trust myself, I've gained a place where I can go, hey, am I like crazy? Because that's usually how it starts for me.
Mhm.
Plain and simple. I'm like, am I crazy? Am I doing this right? And they're like, well, talk through it with me, because I have that connection with someone now that they go, no. Or they can say, like, you're not crazy. Also, let's process this. What's really coming up for you?
Yeah. I
And
love it. Yeah.
figure out what I need, which again, usually what I need is reassurance. I need to know that you will accept me for me and that you're not going to leave me and that I'm not crazy.
Right. Right. And I think that is a huge need out in the world, because a lot of people are looking for that acceptance. It's a lot with self-acceptance as well. And that is really the precursor to a lot of things like inner confidence. And when you have that confidence, then and then it just keeps that spiraling going to the next good thing, the next good thing, the next good thing.
Well, that's the
So
imposter syndrome. Like even right now, right? Like I could come on here and we can't, right? Let's just talk about the beginning, right? I missed an email you sent me. And so I could have immediately gone into shame. For example, I could have been like, oh my God, I suck. How could I not have done that? She's going to hate me. She's going to reject me. That's the judge and the politician, right? I need to
right.
earn points from you. That didn't happen. I'm just like,
No. Yeah.
saying, right? That it could have. So what could I have done? I might not have noticed and I might have just let it go. Or if I noticed that was coming up, I could say, hey, I'm feeling this way. Can you reassure me that we're okay? And then I get the opportunity to connect with you again.
Mhm. Absolutely.
But that means we have to be vulnerable. And
Right.
vulnerability means we have the opportunity to maybe get hurt.
Mhm. And see, and that whole email thing could have been totally on my part too. I switched to a new system, and as it did, information got lost on some other people. So I didn't know if I received it or not because I couldn't find it. So we just move forward where we're at, because that's where we're at in the present moment.
Had shame come up for you, right? Like, oh my
Oh,
gosh, did I mess up? Right? You could hear the
oh no.
politician again. And so when we're able to kind of start seeing that, we're able, because there's no room for empathy when we have shame.
Right.
So we can't, you and I couldn't have connected if we both were in shame.
Right. Right. Instead of, here's the reality of the moment, it's how it feels. We just move on and it's done, which I
Right.
absolutely love. Yeah.
Same.
This has been truly, truly amazing here, Abigail. How do people get in touch with you?
Yeah, you can find me pretty much on every platform at Abigail Luvisi. So Abigail is Abigail Luvisi for my last name. No spaces. Abigail Luvisi on Instagram, on Facebook. My podcast is Judgment Free Zone. So that's the only thing that's different.
All right. I love that. And everybody, we'll put all of that out in the show notes for you all. And just click DM her on Instagram, reach out to her. This has been totally fascinating. I've even learned some fun new terminology and things along with it. And I'm going to go back and re-listen to this because it is just full of wisdom and knowledge that she's learned throughout her lifetime. All right, Abigail, any last words?
Yeah, I mean, if you're having imposter syndrome, I guess my last thing would be is right now I'm doing a new series on my podcast called Mindset Shift Wednesday, where I'm working through someone live on an imposter syndrome core belief. So you can check those out live on Wednesday mornings at 10 a.m. Mountain Standard Time. And if you're interested in doing one, you get a free coaching with me and it goes on my podcast.
All right, everyone, reach out to her. That's a fun little bonus offer right there. How cool is that? And for everyone out there listening here to the Healing Heart Podcast, make sure you always go and create that beautiful day.